Welcome back to the To Be Better podcast. Before we get into the intro, we have a little bit of a disclaimer that we need you to hear.
We are not the experts of your life. You are.
We believe that most relationships can be saved. However, both parties have to want it, and both parties have to be willing to do the work.
So we speak in generalizations. If it applies to 90% of the population, and you're part of the 10% that it doesn't, it can be adapted to fit the narrative you're going with.
And it's up to you to make that adaptation. It's not up to us to cater to every single living being on the planet. We just want to get the information out there, and you can make it applicable to your life as you see fit.
So whether you decide to stay or decide to leave, you still have to make the changes that are necessary to grow. If
you fail to do the work, you're going to fail in your next relationship. So why not do the work now before quitting?
All right, so in emailing us, you are asking us for our unbiased, unfiltered opinions. If you're not ready to hear our opinions, do not email us.
And there are certain topics that we will not discuss on this podcast, such as domestic violence, SA, or other assaults and addiction.
Or children being abused.
Speaking of the emails, if you guys are going to send us an email, please be as detailed as possible. Take a second to proofread what you have sent and make sure that you have punctuation, because if you have one long paragraph that is a run-on sentence and it is a difficult thing for us to read, we're not going to sit down and retype your email just for us to be able to read it on the podcast. It will get moved into a rejected folder and we will never see it. And last but not least, if you're not interested in having your email read on our podcast, do not submit an email. We do not do direct emailing answers. It is a scratch our back. We scratch yours. You send email for our content. We give you the opinions that you're asking for. And if you would like to have your email submitted, you can send it to tobebetterco@gmail.com. The number 2, bebetterco@gmail.com. And episode 22.
22.
Yep.
That's crazy.
It's crazy that we're getting backlogged.
Really is, yeah.
I'm excited to have our life back.
Me too.
It's very weird recording in here.
I feel very exposed.
Yeah. Because we're not in a closed room doing our thing in private.
Yeah.
Because the house is open over there.
And it's very bright.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I can control the light in the other room.
Right. It's very cave-like in there. I like it.
Yeah. So we're the other room is done. Mm-hmm. I have 2 more microphones coming, and I want to buy another camera just so that I don't have to move cameras around. But we have multiple places in the house to record now, and we've been recording exclusively in the new room because it's not this one.
Yeah.
I didn't have any hate or disgruntled anything. How is it that we just started and got a Patreon?
Look at that.
I didn't have any kind of ill will towards this room.
And then we got a new one.
And then we got the new room, and I really don't want to record out there.
I really do like it in there because it's just, I like the walls are black.
Mm-hmm.
It's just very clean feeling in there. It's not open to the rest of the chaos of our house.
Yeah. I'm not saying that it will happen, but there's a good possibility that eventually we will just be recording in there.
I'm okay with that.
And in the event that does happen and we get a second place somewhere, like if we get a rental in Tennessee, all of this can go up there.
Right.
And we would have a podcast room in both houses, and that would be ideal. So I don't have any housekeeping today because we already have a disclaimer that went up. I do have a box that I want to open that came from Dakota.
Okay.
I figured it would just kill 5 or 10 minutes or something.
Yeah, that would be dope. And then I have...
Somebody's knocking at the door.
Yep.
I'm going to move the microphone away from my face while I open this so that it's...
Okay.
You did a very good job taping this box shut.
I like that.
All All right. So first things first, this backpack is from Special Operations Equipment, SOE. It's a pretty dope little bag.
I like it.
It's always cool when people send us shit. Mm-hmm. I also got...
Oh, there's more.
But wait! There's more.
What is it?
A tactical belt. So that when you're carrying your... A quick release on it. It's pretty dope. Pretty sturdy.
I am fucking filthy.
Yeah, I know you are. They know you are too. So for everybody that just watched that, I am not the gift receiver that she is. I don't get overly excited and cheerful and like, I'm just not that person. But I definitely appreciate the backpack and the tactical belt. So the person that sent me that owns Snoots on the Ground and Great Wolf Tactical. You guys can look them up on Instagram and TikTok. And for those of you who want to send us stuff, there's a P.O. box in the description of the video so that you can send things to the P.O. box and we can open them and talk about them. And I'm a backpack whore. And I mean that in every sense of the word. I've probably got 30 backpacks.
Oh, yeah. They're littered across the house.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. There's 4 of them in the room where the D&D table is.
Mm-hmm. Behind the couch.
There's 4 in the living room, 2 in the closet behind the round chairs.
Yes.
At least 5 in my closet, 2 in your closet, and...
There's some in the garage.
Yep, and in the podcast closet. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I collect backpacks.
Yeah.
I like functionality. And like I'll get a backpack and I'll rock that shit for 2 or 3 years and I'll just get over it and find another backpack. I had the same camera bag for like 7 years.
Yeah. I like receiving crafty things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Little handmade stuff.
Yeah. The kid that sent that backpack trains is a dog trainer. Mm-hmm. And he's part of the men's group on Patreon or Discord. So being that we got a patron and I'm opening something from someone on Patreon, I figured I would just go ahead and shout that out now so we don't have to do it again. For those of you who want to support what we're doing, the best thing that you can do is share the content with people that you think may gain value from what we're posting. We have a Patreon channel that's got, 800 plus people on it. And if you get into the VIP tier of Patreon, it gets you into our private Discord. We have men and women's groups going there. Lots of shenanigans in Discord. It's a lot of fun. I'm not going to plug that again. I just wanted to get it out of the way. So if you guys want to check that out, we highly appreciate it. It is a great way to support what we're doing.
It is.
I guess while I'm at it, if you haven't hit that like button yet, you should do so. And you should hit the notification bell as well, because we do pop up lives and we're getting ready to start doing them on a more frequent basis. So you don't want to miss that. What you got over there?
So this is my little journal. Because I'm starting the women's group, I wanted to have something to just write my thoughts separate from the podcast. And I already forgot what I wrote yesterday. And I read one of them and I was like, ooh, that's good. I should read that. So I wrote, looking back at all the misery in my life, and the moment it was suffocating, it was near life ending. Now I am grateful for those moments of the mental anguish. My life is no longer a pity party. It is my coming up story. And I will peak on my deathbed because my life is the greatest story I'll ever write.
You are the author of your life. Mm-hmm. We say that a lot.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty good.
You know that's you taking accountability for everything.
Yeah.
It's no longer everything happened to me. Mm-hmm. This is what's happening, and it's not happening to me. It's just happening.
Right.
And I have decisions to make on how I'm going to overcome these obstacles.
Yeah.
It's crazy how far we've come in such a short amount of time.
Isn't it crazy? Yeah.
And it's even crazier when you think about how we have evolved because of what we're doing. Yeah.
Oh, insanely.
Yeah.
Looking back at who I was 4 months ago is, in my eyes, like night and day.
Yeah, I agree.
I also wrote down 4 things that will defeat you in your life. And this is from what we watched last night.
Transformation Church?
Yes. So he listed 4 things. And I wrote down how I perceive that as a life destroyer, right? The first one is deception. And it's believing lies about yourself spread by others. Mm-hmm. So if you're constantly worried about other people's opinions and putting any weight on the false things they're saying about you, you are in your own way of growing. You could be putting all of that energy that you're putting into their own thoughts into your thoughts and actually working on who you are and getting to a point in your life where you're actually satisfied with what's happening. Second one is distraction. So that's social media and TV. And that's part of killing who you are. You are spending hours looking at your phone, scrolling TikTok, being on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, watching, keeping up with the Kardashians, the Real Housewives. I was going to say Jerry Springer, but I was like, no, that's us.
Rest in peace, Jerry Springer.
Yes. When you are dedicating hours upon hours and scrolling on TikTok but not gaining anything from it, you are putting yourself back. Every day could be a year.
Yeah. You know that we, excuse me, we talked about this in the car this morning after cardio. Well, I'm having a hard time with social media as a whole.
Yeah.
Like I will log in and it's almost like Spirit saying, you don't need this.
Right.
Because I will open my phone, open an app, and the first thing I see like makes me feel disgust. And I just close the app. And I've spent my screen time, minus editing, like my phone screen time went from like 11 to 12 hours in a week to like 4.
Yeah.
I'm not on my phone unless I'm playing my game. Like I just don't do it anymore.
Yeah. My phone time has cut down by about 75%.
It's wild.
It is crazy. The third one is delusion, and that is the refusal to believe the truth, especially about yourself. So if you're constantly hearing you're an asshole, you should maybe take a step back and be like, okay, the actions I am presenting to the world is clearly coming back to me in a very negative way. And the delusion is, this is just who I am.
Right.
You have to accept who I am. I'm not going to be better than this. I've peaked. That's a fucking lie. And part of having accountability and avoiding the delusions of who you are as a person is having a community, which luckily is what we've created in the Discord.
Yep.
I love that. I know that I can pop in there and be like, all right, guys, I need you to go and watch this video. Did I come across super bitchy?
Yeah.
Like if I need to tone it in, I need you to tell me I need to tone it in. And they're always very upfront.
Yeah. Yeah, they're good people over there.
Yeah.
Like the people, and it's weird. It's really weird. The people who don't belong sort themselves out real quick. And it's happened. We've had people come in and try weird shit, and like the mods will catch it almost immediately, or they'll see themselves out.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's protected.
Then the last one is depression. So all I did was break down what the word depression means, not sadness and the lack of motivation, not being able to get out of bed. What the actual word itself means. So you add D to words like descend, decline, right? That is to push it down, put it away. It is taking it from up here and it's lowering it. And pressed is to mean flattened or shaped by the application of pressure. Pressed, without the D in front of it, could represent growth. Growth is what comes when you are able to process something, heal it, and the trauma that's going to apply that pressure to you, you're going to come out the other side stronger. You're going to come out the other side like a diamond.
Right.
When you add the D to that, that is when it's killing your growth. Does that make sense? So depression is not something that is easily overcome, but it is a daily choice to just lay there and let it happen.
Right.
Don't let any of these stand in your own way of becoming who you are as a person, and you know that you can be great. You have dreams and aspirations. One of these 4 things, hell, you could be experiencing all 4 of them. That's only 4 things you have to stop.
Right.
That's only 4 things that you need to learn to cope with. In the grand scheme of everything you need to get done in the day, you can do one of these.
You enjoy watching those sermons at nighttime, huh?
I do.
Yeah, me too.
I take a lot away from them.
I enjoy that more than watching TV because I feel like I'm getting something out of it. Because, you know, it's very easy to sit down and turn on a TV show and start being force-fed politics and, you know, left or right nonsense or an agenda, because nothing is just TV anymore. You can't just tell a story. You have to have all this bullshit added into it to check every single box for every single demographic on the planet to make everyone feel included, when in reality, how many people have a diverse friend group that hangs out on a regular basis that checks every single box?
Right.
It just doesn't happen. There's not enough people that check all those boxes to have those friend groups to even be that way. So I've gotten to the point where I don't want to watch TV either, because I don't want to be force-fed an agenda. If you're telling me a story, just tell me the fucking story. I don't need all of that shit. So like we've been watching documentaries, and like we're currently watching the Waco thing. But I find myself doing the same thing with TV that I'm doing with the social media. I just don't.
Not interested.
It's just not there for me.
Yeah.
And I think that's a part of my current growth. So.
Yeah, I'm no longer enjoying TV anymore. Even the show that I'm watching now, it focuses very heavy on mental health and depression. Can I say suicide?
I mean, we're talking about a TV show.
Okay.
I just wouldn't continue to say that shit over and over again.
So it focuses on all of that. It focuses on super traumatic events like rape and how victims process and whatnot. So from that, I feel I am learning, like expanding my human psychology knowledge and seeing how people cope in their emotional mind while I'm in my logical mind. I can follow it and make sense of it, even though it's not logical.
Right.
You know, I can't watch, like, for example, Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I was never really into that show, but shows like that, I can't watch it anymore.
Yeah.
Why watch somebody else live their life when I can go and live mine?
Exactly. Well, because they don't want you to live your life. That's
Right.
just it. That's the entire thing. And those reality TV shows are a joke anyways. A lot of that shit's scripted. They tell you
Yeah.
what to say. But for me, like, I've never gotten into those shows.
Mm-hmm.
But I do enjoy things like, you remember Lost?
Yes, I loved Lost.
I did too. And we started watching that show, The Wilds, on Amazon, thinking it was the same thing. And all it is the entire time is leftist nonsense. And like, that's cool if that's what you believe in, but I don't. And if it was far right nonsense, I'm not watching that either. Like, I don't want to be indoctrinated. I want to watch a story.
Yeah.
Take me out of my reality and put me somewhere where there's none of that bullshit, because that bullshit is everywhere in my reality. I don't fucking care. I want an escape, which is why I'm watching television. I'm good on all that.
Yeah. I'm really embracing the, if it doesn't serve me, why is it here?
Yep.
I want to be productive and grow as a human being and be better than I was yesterday.
Yeah.
And TV is not really contributing to that.
It's not. It's really not. Our TV is on more when the kids are here than any other time of the week. So I don't know. I don't got nothing else. I don't know.
Even now with TikTok, I'm getting like world news.
Yeah.
I'm getting Christian content, plant stuff, and now knitting.
I haven't been on my FYP in probably a month.
Yeah.
I'll check my following to see the people that I follow to see if they put anything out, mainly Henry and Victoria Doss or Blake Spitfire or whatever his name is. And there was like 2 other like churches that I follow, but I don't even that. Like, I don't know. YouTube gives me what I want to see versus what they think I want to see, because I'm subscribed. I go to my subscriptions and I can see everyone I follow and what they've posted. So instead of being force-fed garbage, I can get the meal I want by clicking a button and sitting there and watching it.
Right.
So I've been, YouTube is kind of where I've been a lot for my content.
Just want to get into emails?
Sure. I mean, we're 20 minutes in.
Okay.
I don't know how much of that I'm going to clip out, but
So this one is 2 parts. They sent the initial email and then sent a follow-up one because they recognized they were not as detailed as they should have been.
okay. We have, we got an email in from episode 20 where there was a follow-up.
I saw that.
Okay. I would like to touch on that today too.
You want to do that first?
Yeah, let's do that one first. I like it when people hear their emails and then contact us again,
Okay, so this is a follow-up to How Can I Better Communicate?
which was on episode 20.
Which was on episode 20. Chris and Peaches, thank you, thank you, thank you. You read my email on today's podcast, episode 20, and I truly can't thank you enough. I was so worried you were going to rip me to shreds with the truth, and while you did, you also gave me some great constructive criticism, which is exactly what I needed.
Yeah.
I love hearing that because I don't like hurting people's feelings, especially when they're in a very vulnerable state. So knowing that I can come across as harsh yet supportive, that's my goal.
You know, the problem is when people try to tell people in their personal lives what's going on, the personal life people are going to sugarcoat and downplay and just
Try to people please.
right. And we're not going to do that. There's no skin in the game in their lives. They're sending an email, giving us a scenario, and we discuss it. And if it's a good scenario, we discuss that. And if it's a bad scenario, we discuss that too. And in the event that you're reading something and I feel the need to address something, I will. And it's not always going to take sides. Sometimes I defend people, sometimes I don't. But it is unbiased because we don't have skin in it. So, you know, that harsh truth sometimes is what people really need.
I agree.
Being able to accept that, however, is on them. You know what I mean?
Mine was the first email on that episode that spoke about resentment towards stay-at-home moms and my husband taking my words in a way that I did not intend him to. I went back and forth trying to decide if I should tell him that I emailed you and that it would be read on your podcast. My husband and I are actually in a really good place at the moment, but our communication still needs some work. So I decided to bite the bullet and let him listen with me.
Okay, so good.
Yes, good.
Good.
I need 1 minute because I hope this goes really well.
Yeah. We need, you guys need to understand that everyone has room to grow with their communication, even us. We're still working on things. Like, we still have moments where we're like, okay, wait a minute. How do we get through this? Because we're not lining up.
Right.
Those conversations are necessary. You know, and if you're in a good place right now, now's the time to really work on the communication because there's no underlying drama.
Right. There's no issue that's bubbling under the surface.
Right. Now's the time to start the check-ins.
Okay. He surprised me with his response. He received what you both had to say surprisingly well. And I think it's because even though he was called out on his bullshit, as was I, Chris came to his defense in terms of how men think and how I was overloading him with information in a way that wasn't allowing him to process things fast enough. We would pause the podcast every so often so we could have an open dialogue about it. We agreed to communicate more effectively in the future and realized we are fully capable of having healthy conversations in person as long as we give each other enough time to process and come up with a response.
That's it. I'm curious how he felt about that, if he agreed or disagreed with the way men think thing. Because we've been told over and over again that not all men feel the way that I feel.
Well, he said that you came to his defense.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that he felt validated. And I am working on being more direct and to the point. I love that.
Yeah.
He now understands that I am not a superhuman and I need his help. Us both working full-time jobs comes at a cost. And that means we both need to be pitching in with home chores and especially the kids. I want to thank you both for validating my feelings of being overwhelmed while also giving me an outside perspective and actual steps to take to better our marriage. I have always loved your no bullshit approach to helping people. The world needs more of that and less of coddling.
I agree.
We look forward to many more episodes to come.
Oh, we. That means
I caught
he's watching
that.
now. Yep.
I love that.
Same. You guys you sent an email asking for help and you now bonded over our podcast.
Right. It brought them closer.
Yep. And you guys will now have something that you can do and talk about together, which is going to make it so that you are not going to have the problems in the emails that we read because you're going to know how to work through those things as they come up.
I wish this was the case every time we answered an email.
Yeah. I love the follow-ups. When people send us emails and we're able to get like hey, the check-in worked or it didn't work or this is what we're facing now, like it's it feels like an ongoing help. I enjoy those.
Me too. All right. So this next one is called Please ... frowny face.
Please.
So I'm going to read the first email. Or should I read the follow-up email with extra detail and then go into the first email?
Can you read the second one with extra detail? I don't care. You do it, baby. You do your
Okay,
thing.
so we're going to read the follow-up first with the extra detail.
Okay.
And then we're going to jump into the first one so we're not questioning things. Or do we question things and go into what-if scenarios?
I think that's going to be more beneficial.
We're going to do that. Problem solving in action.
Okay.
Is everything okay?
There's 900 things going on at the tattoo shop, and my manager's messaged me, so
Okay.
I'm good. I literally just have to tell her to go ahead and do what she's doing, and I'm done.
Okay. I recently discovered you guys on TikTok and have made my way over to YouTube and Spotify, following along and listening.
Love that. Thank you for the support.
I, 28 female, and my partner, 27 male, have been together for nearly 5 years. Backing this 5-year relationship is another 17 years, 22 to 23 years total of friendship.
So they've known each other almost their entire lives.
Yes. They literally grew up together.
Okay.
We met when we were just little kids in our neighborhood. I mention this as I feel it makes a difference in how I have observed changes in him and our relationship over the years. We are not in a traditional relationship, although taking on more traditional roles is not something I'm opposed to.
Can we pause for a minute? Because that says a lot. Not
Yeah.
something I'm opposed to, which means she's okay with it. She just, it's not necessary. Right? Okay.
She's open to it if the right person comes along.
I get that's what I took from that. How many people do you think really want that, just don't want to admit it?
A lot.
Yeah.
Especially women, yeah.
I believe that if most men had the financial stability to provide for a woman and their kids and her not go to work, they would opt for that.
Oh, yeah.
They may not admit it. I do believe they would opt for that, especially if they have, because like, okay, I mentioned them a minute ago. I'm a big fan of Henry and Victoria Doss on
Right.
TikTok. I believe it's I Am King Henry or whatever. We've talked about them in the past. I really like his content. He's a lot harder with the things than I am, but he made a comment one day about how when your woman goes to work and submits to her boss, she's submitting to a man other than her husband. And when you say submitting in that term, people are like, oh, submission, brah, and they want to act up about it. But when your wife is going to work and she's got a male boss or even a female boss, she's submitting to somebody at work. Wouldn't you rather her just be at home and having a peaceful life, and the only person she's got to worry about pleasing is you? When you look at it that way, tell me I'm wrong. I truly believe most men would rather have their woman in the house.
Yeah.
I think that it comes down to financial ability. The ones who are like, I would rather my woman work. I ain't supporting no broad, blah, 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 blah. It's because you can't.
Right. Since starting the podcast, people in my personal life, especially men, had said, I do want this.
Yeah.
I genuinely just work to have income to cover bills as our financial situation does not currently allow me to stay home.
So she does want to.
Okay, so that's something that you want.
Yeah. So it's not opposed. She wants it.
Right.
Got it.
As far as the division of our jobs go, nothing was ever discussed officially. Problem 1.
Yep.
That's the first red flag I'm putting in this. Can I get like a little something to put on the wall with like little red flags and be like, okay, that's the first one?
You could just get one and wave it.
No,
And
I
then
want to
put it
have an
back.
accumulation of them. So once we like finish an email, be like, okay, guys, that was 37 red flags. in there.
Get you a cork board and just get red pens and green pens.
Can we?
I mean, it wouldn't be hard. Cork boards are cheap.
Yay. I think having a visual representation of like, all right, this is where you're fucking up is going to click in people's minds better.
Yeah. You'd have to pull it off the wall to show it, though. Because you're not.
Okay. I'm going to make something.
All right.
Okay.
You got this, baby.
DIY crafty.
She's crafty, and she's just my type. She's crafty. For all my Beastie Boy fans out there.
I have fun with you.
Yeah, that's a good thing, because you're going to be with me for a long fucking time.
Better be.
Yeah? Ooh.
Yeah.
Talk tough to me, bitch.
I
can't even say that shit with a straight face.
I was going to try, but then you called me bitch and my heart started fluttering and it's too much.
We're so stupid.
However, the only thing that is consistent is I am the only one who cooks. Okay. He is mostly the one to walk our dog, changes garbage, takes the bins out, etc. But I will also do those tasks on a pretty regular basis. Okay, so you're both working and you're both doing things.
Who maintains the vehicles and does the yard work? Who does the laundry? Because none of those were listed.
Right.
So you gave us one thing that you do consistently and other things that you both do, but nothing that he does consistently.
Who's
so
vacuuming?
So are you saying that he doesn't do anything that you don't do? And if that's the case, are you a better cook than he is? Does he do the dishes?
Like who's vacuuming and who's mopping, who's sweeping,
Right.
who's changing the bedding, who's making the bed, who's scrubbing the toilets.
You're making the bed
I always make the bed.
and changing the bedding.
I am, yeah. It fulfills something in me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking tattooed Susie Homemaker.
Yes. I want to be covered in more tattoos.
Yeah.
And I know how I look, but on the inside, I feel like. Have you ever seen Little House on the Prairie?
Yeah, a long time ago.
I feel like that. Just maintaining, and I pretend to look out the window and just see nothing but nature. I mean, there's other houses and shit.
Well, I mean, it depends on which window you look out of.
Yeah, you're right.
And it also depends on what time of day it is. Because at nighttime, if you look out most of the windows, you can see other people's lights, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, I don't like that. If we were to go off grid and live on like just acreage of land, and I would have to have chickens and milk goats and shit, I would do that.
Yeah,
Oh
homestead.
yeah, 100%.
We'd have to have good internet. My one condition in life is that we've got good internet.
So we can go on the outskirts somewhere where there's still the internet, but I don't want to be near people.
Well, I mean, that's where we're at right now.
No.
I mean, no.
There's houses.
Yeah, but you can't. There's only one that you could throw a rock at and hit. The rest of the area around us is completely wooded.
No, because I can still hear cars.
Yeah.
So they both do those tasks regular basis. So I think the fact that you're doing them and he's doing them, that's a green flag.
Yeah, it means you're getting help.
Green flag.
So we're 1 for 1.
We're 1 for 1. I never ever make comments on him never cooking for me, as he is my man, and I enjoy providing a nice meal for him at the end of our days.
But
I do, however, get comments about never walking the dog, etc., even if it's him just jokingly telling the dog to ask me to take her out.
whose dog is it? Because that matters to me.
I don't know. She said our dog.
Right. It's not, though.
Right. Who wanted a dog?
Yeah, whose dog is it? Because whoever was like, we should get a dog, that's your dog. You should be the one walking it.
Just had a flashback to my thought when we were walking through doing our cardio of a little Pomeranian strapped to my chest like a baby.
With sunglasses on?
Yes, with sunglasses on. And we both have matching sun hats.
So fucking extra.
And her name would be Elphaba. I've thought about it. Call her Elfie. And she's going to be sassy. This is the shit that I think about.
Clearly. Because
Like-
there was a whole lot more to that conversation than there was yesterday when we had it.
Well, I just thought about it more, like in depth. My thoughts go very quickly. I do things like take the dog. I do things like take the dog out, change the garbage, etc., simply to avoid the conflict I am afraid will come of me setting grounds for whose job something is in our household. Red flag.
2 and 1.
2 to 1. So I agree. Whoever was like, let's get a dog, that's your dog.
You know, a really easy solution to this is to just fence in your yard and open the door.
What if they live in an apartment complex?
That sucks. I have this theory about dogs anyways. Like if you're inactive people, you shouldn't own dogs.
Right.
Because most dogs are active creatures. And like if you're not walking them and running them and keeping them active with exercise, they destroy shit in your house.
Right.
They get anxiety. Like, so, you know, we have a yard big enough that if we wanted a dog, it would be very easy to keep it, you know, active. And then with the amount of cardio that we do in the park, it'd be even more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I want to touch on simply to avoid the conflict I'm afraid will come of me setting grounds for whose job something is in our household. So you just don't get to come in and dictate who's doing what at this point. It has to be a conversation.
Right.
It has to be. So I know we've been living this way. I am becoming overwhelmed. I've noticed that you're kind of being disgruntled about things. Let's sit down and figure out who's going to do what and when. That way we can write it out, tack it to the fridge, put it on the wall, and we can see it every day and we know what's getting done when.
Super simple division of labor. If you know what your job is and you can do your job, there's never any arguments. It's easy.
That setting grounds, I'm really hung up on that. Because that's, to me, like a form of control.
What do you mean? Setting the ground rules?
Setting grounds, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's control. It's setting expectations. If she's going to dictate what he does and doesn't do, that would be control.
That's what it comes across to me.
Yeah.
Because she wrote, I'm afraid of what will come of me setting grounds for whose job something is in the household.
Right. Okay.
That doesn't sound like a conversation.
Right. Yeah, you're right. That sounds like control.
Right.
Verbiage matters, guys.
For our entire friendship, for 17 years leading up to our relationship beginning, he was always my person. We did not talk extremely regularly, and I have moved away for a period of time, but we always made time for each other, and I was always certain if I ever had any issues, he would support me 100% if I reached out. He was my best friend. Is he no longer your best friend?
Dun, dun, dun.
You're my best friend.
I would fucking hope so. We are together constantly.
I couldn't imagine not.
It would be really awkward pooping with the door open and us not being best friends.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to cut that or not. I really wanted to say it. When I play it back, I'll see how gross it is.
I enjoy our relationship.
Yeah, me too. Guys, I've said it over and over again, just in case I leave that clip in there. I am a giant 12-year-old. I would say I'm more like a 15-year-old because I have...
Yeah, I would say 15 to 16.
The only difference between me and your teenage kids is I can afford my toys.
Correct.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Farts are funny. Poop jokes are funny.
You know how to control your anger, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've had to learn. Had to learn that.
Was my best friend. So that's 3 to 1. Red flag. It felt so natural beginning an intimate relationship when we had such a solid foundation.
You know what you could do is get 2 buckets on the ground
Okay.
and just fill them with red and green flags and then hang 2 little like slanted buckets on the wall, like little metal tins from Hobby Lobby. Like just anchor it like through the bottom of the thing. It would be super easy to do. I mean, I could literally do it in 5 minutes and just angle them so that you can just red flag, red flag, and actually put flags in there.
I love that.
And then when you're done, you'd be like, look at this. See this? This is your problem. And put them back.
Okay. I want to get super in depth with this. Like, should I write things on the flags?
Scrub.
Controlling.
Get it together. Grouch.
Abuse. Insecurity.
Then you would have to find the specific red flag instead of just going red flag.
Okay. I need to stop. You're right. Simplistic is the way to do it.
Right.
I want to get so in depth with it. I can in my mind, and I'll just talk about it when I do the flags. Okay. So he was my best friend. Our first year and a half were long distance. And ultimately, I moved back to be with him and take the next steps in our relationship. The first 6 months back were great and has slowly become less and less, I don't know, happy, I guess. Okay, so you've been together for nearly 5 years and things were already falling apart at 6 months. 4-1.
Well, she said they were becoming less happy. I think the illusion of who this dude is in her brain now that they're actually together is changing, because it's one thing to be friends with somebody. It's another to live with them.
Right. But 6 months after them moving in together, she was already...
Right.
We have been living together full time for the last 2 years. We love our home and we're excited to finally have our own space to heal and love each other and be together.
Why did it say heal?
I don't know.
Because that's supposed to be something that happens before you get into a relationship, not afterwards. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously you can heal while in a relationship, but the work should be being done before you commit to somebody.
However, since moving in, I feel like I am walking on eggshells. We have been living together full time for the last 2 years. So for 2 years, have you been feeling this way? Is that my understanding?
I mean, I would say it started after the 6 month mark.
We work slightly different schedules, him 5 to 1 and me 8 to 4. He is exhausted and dozing by 7 to 8 p.m. And if I ever make a comment, he is immediately defensive and says he cannot go to sleep without me being pissed off. I also wake up relatively early at 6 a.m. and then work all day. Immediately after I get home, I begin cleaning up and making dinner, while he either games or watches TV most days.
I wonder what he does for a living to be tired like that.
He has a much more labor-intensive job than I do, so I have always just accepted this as his unwinding and relaxing time. By the time dinner is served, we eat, clean up, etc. We have maybe an hour or two before he is nearly asleep. Often at this point, I will suggest we head to the bedroom, admittedly wanting us to be physically intimate. I receive love significantly through physical touch and in turn view sex as a hugely important part of our relationship.
So let's go to bed early. Like when you see that he's getting tired, you go, let's go to bed. You see him getting tired, he thinks, okay, I'm going to go to sleep.
Right.
That's no different than saying like, hey, maybe we should, maybe. That's how indirect that is.
Right.
If you really want that, why don't you sit in his lap?
Mm-hmm. Initiate.
Kiss him a little bit and be like, hey, let's go to the bedroom.
Mm-hmm. I more often than not do not initiate sex as I am afraid of rejection. It absolutely crushes me. So you're saying let's go to bed and then you're not saying you want to have sex.
Right. Also rejection from him being exhausted from working outside all day. Why don't you try to initiate it like,
when you get home from
work. And, or you know what I mean? Or like be like, hey, when he's about to get on video games, you'd be like, hey, can I borrow you for 5 minutes? Come here. And then take him in the bedroom. I don't understand. I just don't get people. I really don't get people.
And since I do not initiate, we hardly ever have sex and he's almost immediately asleep.
Because he doesn't think you want him.
Red flag. We're at like what, 5 to 1?
I believe so.
So you are building a resentment towards him because he's not initiating sex with you when you won't even tell him you want to have sex with him. You are in your own cycle of self-destruction right now. This is not a him problem. The whole sex issue, that's a you problem.
I will say, I will give her credit on acknowledging the fact that he works labor intensive and he's exhausted. But that's not something you should hold against him. Like that's his job. He's working, he's providing, he's doing the best he can. Like that's not a slight against you. This comes down to perception. If you know he's ready for bed at 8 o'clock at night, then you guys should be trying to do things between 6, 7, like not waiting until he's fallen asleep on the couch and then try to be like, hey, let's go to bed, because of course he thinks it's bedtime.
In this situation, if this was a problem, I would just go for it. I would order a pizza on my way home, so it's going to get delivered. And I would walk inside, close the door, and take my shirt off in front of you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say anything to you.
I'd get play and pizza. Mm-hmm. I'm so tired. It's 5:00, babe. I mean, it's 1:30, but.
Don't play with me because I'll do pizza for dinner. The first few years of our relationship, he couldn't keep his hands off of me any opportunity he got. I am pretty sensitive and will often lay beside him and cry myself to sleep while he peacefully dozes off for the night. She just villainized the fuck out of him in that sentence.
That sucks for her, but like the fact that you haven't talked to him about any of this is your problem.
You're not laying there crying yourself to sleep because this man doesn't want you. You're laying there crying yourself to sleep because you haven't communicated anything to him.
Yeah.
He has no idea that you're going through any of this. He probably thinks that you hate him.
I mean, yeah, if she's not initiating either, why would he? This we talk about this shit all the time. You treat others the way you want to be treated, right? So if he was the one initiating all the time and you weren't, eventually he's going to be like, well, I'm obviously not wanted. She's only putting out because I'm trying.
Right.
Why am I bothering?
There's not a single part of me that could ever even imagine allowing my partner to hurt that way and not want to help.
Does he even know that you're hurting?
Right.
So that's number 6.
I would say 7 because that sentence about demonizing him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I often lay beside him and cry myself to sleep while he peacefully dozes off for the night. Now, if you guys had a massive blow-up argument and he just called you a bunch of degrading names and told you that you were worthless and then laid down and went to bed knowing that you're crying beside him, then I can understand that sentence. If this sentence is because you have not initiated the whole time you guys have been together, he's gotten the hint of, okay, maybe she doesn't want me. He's exhausted, and you're hoping that he reads your mind.
Right.
He at times is vulnerable and shows his emotions to me. Every single time he has broken down and cried, I hold him and comfort him and let him know I am there. Because he came to you.
Yep. Because you know what's going on with him.
Because he told you.
Crazy how that works.
I will not sit here and pretend he's the only one at fault. I am very sensitive and do not have a healthy relationship or home life with most of my family and have traumas I sometimes allow to dictate my reactions.
It's a victim mentality and an excuse.
Mm-hmm. I am not naive to the fact that I can sometimes react instead of respond, and those reactions can be irrational at times. So what are you doing about it?
Right.
Accountability is not just acknowledging that this is behavior, it's taking the actions to correct it and keep it in check and maintain it.
Right.
However, I do feel like the frequency of my unwillingness to take the time to respond effectively coincide with the decrease in the life and attention I get from my man. Did that make sense to you?
Yeah, she basically just said everything we've been saying this entire time. Read it again.
However, I do feel like the frequency of my unwillingness to take the time to respond effectively. What do you mean respond effectively?
Communicate, not blow things out of proportion, actually have a conversation.
Okay, so respond effectively. I can understand like if he comes to her and says something and she wants to blow up but doesn't.
Right.
Responding effectively does not equate to initiating a conversation about this is what I want, this is what I'm going through.
Right, I agree with that.
So I would not say that.
Right. Well, it would.
That's
though.
not the only thing.
It would though, because if she's like, let's go to bed, and he went in there and laid down and started to doze off, she could respond to that situation, be like, babe, I called you in here because I was trying to be intimate. I know that you're tired now and you're almost asleep, so I'm not going to force that tonight. But moving forward, when I'm like, hey, let's go to bed, it's because I'm like, hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge. Mm-hmm. That's a response to what's happening.
So what if he hits her with, then just tell me that?
That's what she should be doing.
Okay.
That scenario, I would rather you be like, get a towel, than go, you want to go to bed? Because I'm thinking, okay, we're going to sleep. Mm-hmm. At least if you tell me get a towel, I know there's going to be sexy time.
Yeah.
Direct brain thinking. Mm-hmm. I need to learn how to say that in other languages.
So responding effectively and being able to communicate properly and being able to control your emotions and keep your whole emotional mindset in check is 100% the decrease in the life and attention that you get from your man. Mm-hmm. I feel like if he regularly made sure I felt heard and loved, he would, without a single second of a doubt, always get my best self. So, going back up to the prior point, her love language is physical touch. So, to make you feel regularly heard and loved would have to be listen to your feelings and give you physical touch. Neither of those things are going to happen if there is no intimacy.
Right.
And if there's no intimacy, you can say that you listen to him when he comes to you and he has a breakdown and you're there for him. What about the other times though? Like random moments throughout the day, are you just checking up on him? Be like, hey babe, how's your day going? What's your mental state like? I ask you that often.
Right. And that's also, that's a form of intimacy. Mm-hmm. We are being intimate with each other in the moment because you're showing me that you actually give a shit about me.
Right.
Hey, real quick before you move on, who controls the intimacy in a relationship?
A woman does.
Crazy good. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just feel like I have become afraid to express my feelings or needs to my man in fear of being ignored or rejected. I always just brush things off until things like his unkind tone began seeping into a more public setting.
Well, that's a problem. That's a huge problem.
I always just brush things off until things like his unkind tone began seeping out into a more public setting.
So he's being shitty in front of other people. I mean, it's a problem anyways if he's being shitty, but like you don't ever do that to your person in public. If you guys have a problem, you do that shit privately. I want to know why she's afraid to talk to him. So, not because of a fear of rejection, unless that's happened. Like if she's like, babe, I really need to talk to you. And he's like, not now, I'm playing Call of Duty.
Right.
Or can you give me 15 minutes? I need to finish this match. And then by then she's like, don't worry about it. No, talk about it now.
Right.
Because that happens. You know, not everything has to be on your time. It could simply be like, I would really like to have a conversation with you when you're done. Cool, let me get another match or two in and I'll turn it off.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Once others began to notice how seemingly on edge he always was with me, it became a concern. So is he like verbally abusive to you and mentally abusive? Or is this...
There's more happening there and she's not telling us about it.
Right. Or is it you are such an emotional mess, he never knows what side of you he's going to get, so he's constantly, okay, what do I have to react a certain way? Is she going to come after me? Do I have to defend myself? I hope she expands on that in the next email.
There's something hidden there. There's something there that's not being disclosed.
Right.
We know people who have that very tense relationship outside, like in public, and we've stepped in and said shit like, hey, you shouldn't talk to your woman like that. You know what I mean? Only to find out down the road that, why that actually happens. And though I still disagree with the public issue, I totally fucking understand why that happens. You know what I mean? It's not right. They need to fix their shit, but that is the root of it, you know?
I feel like doing it in private, although is not okay, he at least was acknowledging that it was not okay. Whereas now, it's like he does not care to even hide it anymore. I'm not sure how we got here, or where to even begin repairing our communication relationship. I admire the open, honest, and effective communication you guys have built together in your relationship, and I appreciate any advice or opinions.
We've had this open and honest communication since day one.
Yeah.
We've never sugarcoated it. We've never had a moment where we were afraid to talk to each other. Actually, you did once, and you told me about it, but that was a you thing. Like it had nothing to do with me. You were just in your head. Those moments are really simple to have if you just talk to your person. So if you're having issues with the way he's talking to you, you talk about it. If he's having issues with the way that you're not walking the dog, you talk about it. Like, you don't wait until it's a fucking problem and then unload on each other. That's not how conflict gets resolved. I've said that shit 1,000 times.
Right. So this is a continuation with more details. One of the largest struggles we have that I totally blew past is his family. I have known the entire time we've known one another that he is a very family-oriented person. I respect and love his family, always have. However, I don't know where would be the appropriate time to expect to be prioritized on the same level as them. So they're not married.
Right. So she doesn't get that.
To me, my family matter. Granted, I have a far less close relationship than he does with his, but he is my family.
Not yet, he's not. You guys are boyfriend and girlfriend. You may feel that way because you're living together and playing house, but unless you've said I do and you've exchanged your vows, you don't get to claim that.
He is my man, and he is who I want to build my life and family with as we grow.
You know, I want one more thing.
Okay.
In that scenario, if you guys are living together and playing house and you're happy and you're planning on getting married and that's what he wants, then he should put you before his family.
Yes.
I agree with that, right? Like that's just common sense for me. And I guess I just needed to clarify that because I said that you're not married yet. You don't deserve that. He who finds a wife finds a good thing, not he who finds a girlfriend and dates for 5 years and then gets married.
Right.
It's a different scenario. You've treated me like a wife since the beginning, and I have prioritized you since the fucking beginning. And I will continue to do so because you're my wife. Mm-hmm. If you came in acting like a girlfriend, you'd get girlfriend treatment.
Right.
Girlfriends don't get to come before family. Mm-hmm. blood, DNA family, or otherwise family.
Yeah. He is first. He always will be. I have vocalized this to him numerous times.
Then why can't you talk to him?
I don't know.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'll stop.
And I just get told that I am a priority. I feel like I may be sometimes, but never at the same level. For example, the crying myself to sleep when I am hurt. This next part may make me sound a little heartless, but I swear I am not. His sister had a later term miscarriage a little while back, 6 months along, and was dating a piece of crap at the time. She was sitting alone in her car sobbing around the time the baby was meant to be born, distraught. She called my boyfriend, and in a second he shot out of bed at 11 p.m. He wakes up between 3 and 4 and drove to her to make sure she was okay. So the scenario you gave us of you crying yourself to sleep is because you told your man, let's go to bed.
And he did.
And he went to bed, and you felt you were ignored because you didn't verbalize that you wanted intimate time with him. And you're upset that he lost a niece or a nephew. His sister lost her child.
Ooh, you're annoyed.
I am very annoyed. I've had a miscarriage.
Yeah.
I understand everybody's feelings are valid. If I had a brother and his girlfriend, who they've been together for 5 years, was upset that she never communicated that she was hurting to him. He had no idea she was crying herself to sleep, and she tried to compare that pain to me losing a child.
Yeah.
I would not do well with that. I said nothing because anytime I tell him he can't say how high every time his family calls.
Wait, what?
What? I said nothing because anytime I tell him he can't say how high every time his family calls.
Oh, meaning if they say jump, how high?
Right.
Got it. Okay.
It blows up and I get accused of hating his sister. Okay, so it wasn't just a miscarriage thing. Why is there an ongoing thing of they thinking you hate his sister?
Right. It sounds to me like she wants to be first in his world.
Right.
And she hasn't earned that in his eyes. Mm-hmm. Or he's one of those people that are super, blood is everything people, which there are people like that out there.
Right.
Or he's very close to his family. Like they could have a very tight-knit family. And if that's the case, you should be trying to include yourself in that, not excluding yourself from that.
So this is a total assumption on my end. This is just the vibe I'm getting. They were friends for a very long time. Mm-hmm. Everything was great. They were best friends. They loved each other. Everything was dope. And they got together and started dating. And 6 months after dating, things started going downhill. How much unresolved trauma do you have? Maybe he thought he was getting into a relationship with somebody who isn't this emotional wreck. And because you're not able to regulate yourself and handle your emotions and check yourself in the moment, he's starting to be like, this is too much for me. She's always going off the handle. I'm always doing something wrong. I'm not giving her enough attention when all I do is go to work and come home and spend time with her. Now, he could be going out and doing other things that wasn't stated, but if that's what's happening, you're his life. He's going to work to provide for you.
Yeah. He does play video games, but I would like to point out that this is exactly what I said earlier.
What do you mean?
That they were friends for their entire lives, but as soon as they started dating, all of the living together shit changes a relationship.
Yeah.
What you believe somebody is gets thrown out the fucking window the moment you move in with them. Mm-hmm. So 6 months of them living together after being friends for a whole lifetime, you're now around each other 24/7. It changes things.
It does.
It's not a once or twice a week hangout or a once or twice a week hangout or a fucking text message conversation. You guys are living a life together. Mm-hmm. Things are going to change. You're going to learn everybody's shortcomings and like all of the things that are going to annoy you are going to come out in that first 6 months, especially if you've known each other for a long time because you're not in a honeymoon phase.
Right. It comes across as almost jealousy. That
to the sister?
To the sister,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. The whole family, towards their whole family, because she keeps,
Yeah.
she brought up the family, not just the sister.
Mm-hmm. He came home and slept, woke up exhausted, of course, but did not complain because his sister needed him. Now, I was a little bitter, but I did my best to mask it to be sensitive to the situation. When I cry or I'm hurt or need his comfort, I get told he has to work in the morning, and why is it the same shit every fucking night?
It's not the same thing. She lost a fucking child.
Right.
Do you hear that? Like, that's an extreme situation.
This is also that's also a very telling sentence. Why is it the same shit every fucking night?
Yeah.
A single topic can only be discussed so many times, and if you're not looking for solutions and you're just looking to be validated or you're blaming him, I would get tired of hearing that too.
I would love to get an email from him.
Me too. I feel like I wouldn't have resented that moment if I was used to being prioritized in that way. Losing a child, especially 6 months along, is a very traumatic thing to go through. Your relationship might be a mess. That does not equate to the pain that a mother feels when she loses a child.
Right. I don't believe their relationship would be a mess if she would just talk to him. Not complain,
Right.
not bitch, not nag, but talk.
Actually just communicate feelings and
Right.
say, I want to resolve this.
If he's getting mad and the same thing every fucking night, it's because you're probably nagging at him. You're not having a conversation.
Right.
Does he get mad when you're like, what would you like for dinner? Because that's the same conversation that has every night. We have that conversation every night. What do you want for dinner? I don't know. Whatever you want, babe. I don't care. I'm easy. You know what I get. As long as I can get a cheeseburger, I don't give a fuck where we eat from.
Right.
I'll eat McDonald's. I will eat food-like products if that's what you want to be happy, as long as I can get a cheeseburger. I don't care.
Right.
But that's not going. I'm not going to be like, how dare you? Every night you ask me what I want for dinner. This is fucking bullshit. Why can't you just cook? It's not how that works.
Right.
It's really not how that works.
There is more that leads into these feelings, but him jumping when his sister says, do it, is truly what always bugged me the most.
So has this happened more than once? Has his sister called in the middle of the night for other things and he's jumped up and ran and done things?
There's a couple more examples.
Okay, because that was a very extreme scenario.
That is a very extreme scenario.
Ooh.
I know. I mentally had to say it properly, and that was really hard for me.
I was getting ready to say it back to you, and I was like, that bitch said it right.
I know. You said it, and I was like, I have to say it. I didn't like that. It's going to be scenario.
Scenario.
Yeah. Scenario. Mm.
No? Doesn't do it for you, huh?
It strains my throat weirdly. I don't like it. We used to live with her in their parents' home. Parents lived elsewhere. And she was nothing but rude to me 90% of the time. Okay, so they were like renting a home from the parents. She asks for help with her son constantly, and I say no a lot. Because it's not so I can work or anything remotely important. It's so she can go out, get her nails done, etc. While she's asking me for $20 for gas the next week.
So you guys just don't like each other. Here's a thought, right? Okay. Let's say you had a brother. And he and I had never interacted, right? And I had issues with how close you were or me not being a priority in your life. But me knowing that you are very tight with your family the way that he is, family matters.
Right.
So let's say the brother was like, hey, I have my son this weekend. My car died. Can you take him to baseball practice? I don't want to take your kid to baseball practice. I don't like baseball. I don't want to be outside. And I probably don't like your kid. But sure, I got you. I got it. Because it's your brother. Your family's important to you. I want to be important to you.
Right.
So I'm going to help him out. Right? And then say, let's 2 weeks go by. Hey, man, fucking $20 short on gas. Can you give me $20? Yeah, I can. Because $20 is not really a lot of fucking money. Right?
Right.
That's going to get the kid to baseball practice again. You're going to see me doing for your family. The brother is going to probably take advantage of the situation because that's what takers do. But he would not hate me because he would know that in a time of need, he could call and I would step up and help, which would make me look like family to the rest of the family. Then when somebody's like, we need you to do something, or I come over for a family dinner, I'm not going to be the black sheep at the dinner table because they know that I have the family's back. And in a tight-knit family, that's what they want. Instead, she has been like, no. Fuck you. I can't believe you called my boyfriend at 3 o'clock in the morning for a miscarriage. Like, Do you hear how that sounds? Like those are two very different scenarios. And comes down to decision making.
Yeah.
You know you want to be a priority and you know that he prioritizes family, then why don't you fucking get close to the family? Who cares if you have to give a sister $20 for gas?
Right.
I'm willing to bet he's talked shit to that sister about his girlfriend.
Oh, yeah. I'd put money on that. So you knew that he was super close to his family like this. You've known him your whole life.
Right.
Getting into a relationship with him, you can't now all of a sudden bitch about how he is with his family. You've known him for 17 years before you started dating. You can't just expect him to change because it's you. You've known me your whole life. We were best friends. We're now in a relationship. I'm more important than everybody else. That's not how that works. Mm-mm. And once she is out to run one errand, it turns into hours later and 6 errands before she's back.
Right, because she's got a fucking kid and she needs help. I'm willing to bet the dad's not in the picture.
Mm-hmm. So is it she's doing this every other day? Is she doing this on Sundays because that's the only day she can get out and do things? Is she working full time the rest of the week?
I am going to say that the sister's a shitty mom.
Yeah.
I don't even know her.
Elaborate.
You'd ask me to elaborate with a whole mouthful of food.
Well, you shouldn't have put a whole mouthful of food. You bitch. That's disgusting. Oh, my stomach's turning.
You want me to elaborate? It's simple. When you have the kids and you need to go do something, what do?
Well, it depends on what I'm doing. If I have to go somewhere that's going to take me 3 hours, I'm not going until they're at school or something.
Right.
Or I take them with me. Or I'm like, hey, one of them wants to stay here. Can you just listen out for him?
You take the kids with you.
Yeah.
There's not many times that you're gone for 5 or 6 hours.
No.
But if you have to make a Walmart run or you have to go to Target, Hobby Lobby, Publix, whatever, you take the kids with you.
Yeah.
Most parents do that. You see it constantly. Mm-hmm. You can't even go to a Verizon store without hearing kids screaming.
Yeah.
Because that's what parents have to do. They don't just pawn the kids off on some random person to go shopping.
Yeah.
Tell me you don't like your kids without telling me you don't like your kids. Tell me that you can't parent your child and discipline them without having to be worried about being called abusive because you don't know how to discipline your child. That's what I'm hearing from all of that.
Right. If this is the scenario where she's doing this every Friday and Saturday and she says, I'll be back by 1 p.m. and this chick is like, dope, I have somewhere to be by 2:30. 3 o'clock rolls around and mom is still not home and this is a repetitive behavior, I would get pretty pissed off too. Mm-hmm. That would happen once. I would say the next time this happens, I am not watching your child anymore. You need to respect my time. Mm-hmm. I'm doing this as a favor to you because we're supposed to be family.
Yep, I agree with everything you just said.
So I just say no now. If that is the case, if that's what she's doing, good for you.
Right.
I don't trust that she will stick to her word, and that drives my boyfriend crazy, and he always says I hate her.
Why does she ask the boyfriend to watch the kid?
He's probably working.
He gets off at 1 o'clock.
Oh yeah, that's right. They both work. She not opposed to being stay at home. For a little more context, my brother has asked me to watch his kid regularly, and after I agreed, he changed the days and times he wanted me to help after I agreed to exactly what he asked for first, and I immediately put my foot down and said no.
So people's plans can't change for you.
I was about to say, so that's kind of drastic. Mm-hmm. You cannot control your schedule if you're not making your own schedule. So if his schedule's changed 2 hours before he goes into work for tomorrow and Thursday, he can't control that. At least he's updating you.
Right.
There's really not a question here.
It sounds like she's a control freak.
It does sound she has a lot to work through. A lot of trauma and baggage, self-worth issues, low self-esteem. I would say probably easily frustrated or easily irritable. You got to stop the crying yourself to sleep thinking that he's knowing that you're doing this. He has no idea.
Right.
There was one morning that I was really going through it and I laid in the bed for like 30 minutes crying and I came out here and I was like, I need you to hold me. You had no idea I was going through it.
Right.
Because I didn't tell you. If I came out here and was just pissed off that you didn't come and check on me or you didn't know I was crying because you should know you're my husband, I'm the one who's wrong in that situation.
Right. I agree.
Self-help books. Maybe look into some therapists on YouTube and start working through all of your emotions you're feeling and start to identify them. Yeah. And you just got to stand up and talk to him and say, I'm not happy. I recognize that I've been a problem. I need you to help me pinpoint what my issues are because I can't see them as clearly as you, and we need to start growing back together.
Yep. She needs to let go a little bit and when I said control freak, I wasn't trying to be derogatory. I mean that she's just somebody that needs to be in control all the time.
Yeah,
and you can tell
panics when she doesn't.
You can tell that by the way that the schedule changed and she just said no.
Mm-hmm.
I have a whole lot of questions. This is one of those emails that didn't have detail. It was just her shitting on her man the entire time.
What?
Huh?
I said what because I just typed what.
Oh.
I meant to say correct.
Okay.
Because she did just shit on him the whole time.
Right, but she did it by making herself look poor in the process.
Right.
This is why when we ask you guys to send us email and be as detailed as possible, we want actual details. When you send an email and you're shitting on somebody the entire time thinking that we're just going to take your side, it's probably not going to happen.
No.
Because the way you word shit tells us a whole lot about who you are.
Yes, it does.
If that email would have come through and she would have said, last night I cried myself to sleep because it's been 2 months since we've had any type of physical intimacy. And every time I ask him, like, let's go to bed, thinking he's going to get the hint and he doesn't, I cried myself to sleep last night. It's a one-time thing, right? So then we could be like, hey, well, what you should be doing moving forward is just have a conversation, like let him know that that's your way of being like wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Right.
And that's the way that you want to engage, that you trying to engage in intimacy. Or if she was like, scenario happened, she cried herself to sleep. The next day, she said, I tried to talk to him, and this is the way it played out. Then we can figure out where the communication breakdown happens, and then we can start giving tips.
Right.
None of that was in that email.
No, it wasn't.
It was we didn't talk. It's he should know better. You know, me and his sister have beef.
Right.
I need to control the situation. There was really nothing for that, huh?
No, just you need a lot of self-reflection.
No, I meant like there's no question. She just wanted to tell us how bad her life is. Like,
I guess so, yeah. I think that was a good insight on how people's brains work and the discussions that we had derived from that on how to, like, this is your thought pattern and it's not an accurate one or a logical one.
I feel like we just got in a car and drove 45 minutes to the beach at like 11 years old, super excited to go swimming, only to find out that there's red tide and we have to now drive back home.
Yeah.
Because there was nothing in that email that was like help.
Right. Well, she didn't ask us for help, but I think reading that email through and getting her perspective and being able to say, okay, like you're really off base right now will help other people recognize like, okay, maybe I should take a step back and figure out if I'm being emotional right now or if I'm being logical.
Yeah.
You ready for the next one?
I am.
This is called Death, Grief, and Jealousy.
Great. There's a whole lot of like horrible words in a subtitle there or a subject line. Not a subtitle.
My husband and I have been together for 7 years. We both have ex-spouses and children from those relationships. Okay. My ex-husband's father died, and it's been extremely hard for me. He was a huge part of my life for 11 years, for the 11 years that I was with his son, and still such a loving and friendly man anytime I saw him at my son's functions. He was such a big staple in my life from the first day I met him. Some of my ex's family and I are still really close. I mean, understandable. You guys spent over a decade together. Yep. Sit with each other at games, talk when we see each other in the store, stuff like that. They were my family for so long. The hardest part of my divorce was his family.
You have kids together. They're still your family.
Yeah, that's still family. My ex-father-in-law died. I was, and still am, having an extremely hard time dealing with it. I asked my husband to go to the funeral with me. Up until the day of, I thought he was going to go. Then, day of, he tells me he doesn't feel like it is his place to go. I get it, and I'm understanding, even though I'm going to be going alone and dealing with this. So I go, and he's clearly irritated before I leave.
No, he didn't want you to go.
Yeah. No speaking to me, avoiding kissing me goodbye.
Wow.
I hugged him and he pulled away. You're angry.
I'm not. I'm processing what was just okay.
Okay.
Scenario, right? Mm-hmm. You were with you. Say you were with your ex for 11 years. Mm-hmm. And you had a child with them and you are super close to the family and we started dating, and I knew that, right? I have a decision to make. Do I trust my woman that she's divorced with this dude for a reason? They're not compatible. She's aware of it. She's moving on with her life now. She's with me, right? That's the decision I have to make. Do I trust her, or do I think that she's not going to be that person and she's still hung up on all of that? I make the decision to stay with you. This is where my brain went through all of that.
Okay.
I decide to trust you, right? We get married, spend 7 years of our life together, and the entire 7 years we're together. I am going to be seeing these people at these functions because there's a child involved. There are grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, whatever. I get it. You have a child with somebody. That other half of that family is your family because of that child. That's how that works. Do I then get emotionally frustrated or whatever, vulnerable or whatever, because I can't deal with my shit knowing that you're out hanging out with these other people? That's a weakness, in my opinion, right? Okay. So then this dude dies that I know that you're close to because I've seen you guys interact. And in 7 years, you had to have seen it at least once.
Right.
I've heard you talk about this man. I've seen him at family events. She said so. And then you said to me, this really fucked me up. This hurt way more than I thought it would. I would like you to go with me. And I go, cool, I'll go. I'm not going for him. I'm not going for the family. I'm not going for the cousins or the kid. I'm going because you asked me to. Because you need an emotional support from your husband at this function.
Yeah.
You're going to be upset. You're going to cry, whatever, right? I would go. So I was like, okay, I don't understand why he's not going.
Right.
Then I thought, the ex-husband's going to be there.
Right.
The last thing I would want is to treat you poorly on the way out the door while you are emotionally distraught going to a funeral where your ex-husband is going to be,
who can give you comfort.
Fucking right. And who is the father of your child that you had 11 years with.
Yeah, that would fuck me up. I would feel very abandoned in that moment.
Right. And there would be a very strong possibility that you would connect to your ex because of the time that you spent together. You would find comfort in another man unless he's married and moved on. I guarantee you he would hold you. You would hold each other. You guys would have inappropriate conversations as far as I'm concerned. It would definitely go that route. You have no idea where that conversation would go. And regardless of her character, we don't know what kind of character he has. She hasn't mentioned it. These are the thoughts that I would have. There's no fucking way. Even if I didn't want to support you, I would have went to that thing solely because I knew he would be there. And if you needed a shoulder to cry on, I would rather it be mine than some fucking ex-person.
Yep.
That was what all that was in my head. It happened way faster in my head than it did to verbalize it. But
well, I'm glad you verbalized it because I agree with all of that.
Yeah. It's fucking wild to me the way that people just get selfish.
Yeah.
Because that's what that is. It's selfishness.
It is very.
He got mad that she went to that funeral and like he wasn't going to go. He was hoping she was going to be like, all right, well, I'm not going to go.
Yeah, I'm choosing you over going to somebody who I was very close with's funeral. Get out of here. I'm trying to be understanding, but I'm not going to say goodbye. I go, typical funeral. My son is there. I make all my rounds, telling his wife and stepkids that I'm so sorry for their loss. My ex and his wife are there.
Okay, so he's married.
He is married. She hugs me and cries. Then my ex hugged me. Okay, it's a funeral. Everybody hugs the family. So I give a quick hug back, talk to his 3 little girls, hug them, hug my son, and I leave. I get home after the funeral. My husband is clearly upset, isn't looking at or speaking to me. He texts me and asks, did you hug him?
See?
What a bitch.
Yeah, that's some real hoe shit right there.
No, what a little bitch.
How was I able to process that entire scenario in less than a second and make a decision? And he had days or weeks even to figure this shit out and couldn't figure it out.
Yep.
Dude, I don't like humanity.
This is such an insecure man.
Yeah.
There would be massive fucking issues in the household.
Did you hug him? I'd have been like, I gave him a hand to Jay. I sat next to him and we took turns, him and his wife.
They're in the same house. Didn't even acknowledge her when she got back from home. Hey, babe, how are you feeling? What are you going through right now? How was the funeral? He texts her and says, did you hug him? I would walk into that room and be like, you want to ask me in person? Or do you want to continue being a 10-year-old? play with that little boy shit. I'm sorry. I thought I married a man. Get the fuck out of here. Ooh, I'm heated. I'm so glad you're not like that. I'm so blessed to have you as my husband.
I don't. All of that is weakness to me.
It really is.
If I got a problem, I'm gonna say something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not gonna let it fester. I'm gonna say something before I get angry.
Yep.
Because I want it to just be resolved. I'm not going to let it get to the point where it's boiling. Like the stove turned on, the water's on the pot. Like, I'm gonna address this shit right now because I know in 15 minutes it's gonna be simmering. Like,
Yeah.
or spilling over. I mean, I don't know. That is pure weakness. Pure weakness. If you are a man and you cannot talk to your woman, and you have to send a text message from another room to ask her a question because you're frustrated, you're a hoe. Like, that is just the weakest fucking thing on the planet. She should have come in. You should have embraced her.
He should have gone to the fucking funeral.
He should have. He absolutely should have. In the scenario where he didn't and he was worried about her hugging the ex, he should have still embraced her and checked on her emotional status and had that conversation before going into that. He should have put his bullshit on the back burner for at least 15, 20 minutes to just let her acclimate to the house and have a conversation.
Yeah.
No text message nonsense. You really that worried about your woman hugging somebody else? Because I got to be honest, I wouldn't worry about that.
No.
If you hugged your child's father, do you really think I'm going to be like, I can't believe you hugged him? No, I'm fucking not.
Yeah.
If you grabbed his ass or something, I'd be like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. That's inappropriate.
Yeah.
You had a child with this motherfucker. Like,
I wouldn't hug him.
I don't understand that mindset.
Yeah.
I just don't. Like, you are that fucking frail. You are that worried about your woman leaving your weak ass that you want to be mad that she hugged someone in a time of fucking disparity?
Right.
Fuck out of here, dude. If it was one of those things that you're like, oh, hey, how you doing at the mall and hugged him, I'd be like, what the fuck was that?
Right.
Like, that is, you know what I mean? Like, that's a whole different scenario.
This is a death.
Right. I would be okay with the mall hug too. If you spent a decade with somebody and you were on good terms and you had a kid together and you guys were co-parenting, and I'm not that guy. I am not worried about you leaving me for another dude, because if you're going to do it, you're going to do it. Why the fuck am I going to stress out about that? And what, push you away because of my insecurities and my fears of you leaving me? No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm going to get comments on that one from TikTok saying that I abuse you. Look how aggressive he is. I bet he beats her.
And
I get it. At least 10 comments every video.
are you serious? Don't let that get to you.
It doesn't get to me.
Good.
It doesn't get to me at all. The problem is the people who feel that way don't know what a strong man looks like.
So he texts her and she replies with, yeah. Now he is totally ticked. He tells me he doesn't want to talk to me, be around me, and never wants to see the shirt I wore to the funeral again.
I'd have been like, hashtag throat hug.
So
I'd have ruined his day.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
way worse than it already was.
I would have packed my shit and left.
Petty spaghetti.
Oh, no. I'm not even petty. You're going to fucking treat me like this? I'm your wife. I just lost somebody who was very important to my life. And because you're insecure, because you're a weak man, that I'm going to see it one day, well, I'm fucking seeing it. And it is not attractive. Go out there and find myself a real fucking man. Like you.
Don't you know I'm an abuser, though? Dude, I don't get it.
I don't get it either. So I left. I went for a drive, and now he's mad because I went for a drive, and I didn't tell him bye. Well, you left for a funeral, and he didn't even want to touch you.
Right, and he came back and he wouldn't speak to you.
Right, so I didn't tell him where I was going. I really didn't even know where I was going. I just didn't want to be at my house with him right now. I feel like I'm a good communicator, and he just shuts down totally anytime he has any sort of feelings. I feel like he totally dropped the ball on being my husband while I'm dealing with this grief.
I fucking agree 100%.
100%. He is failing you as your husband right now.
And to be clear, that's my frustration, right?
What do you mean?
Because I'm frustrated. Mm-hmm. I called this before we even got to that point of the email.
Yeah.
Right? I don't understand that mindset. And I'm going to try to figure out ways to help her and give her pointers for whatever she's asking me. But I am agitated by the way all this played out, and I'm not even in the scenario. Mm-hmm. That kind of shit makes men look like pathetic creatures.
It does.
It makes us all look bad. I hate that shit. Guilty by association.
I feel like he has zero compassion as to what I'm going through.
I agree.
Then gets mad at me because I want to leave our home so I don't feel like a burden because I'm having a hard time dealing with this death. I'm beyond confused on if I crossed a line, if I did something wrong like he makes me feel. No, you've done absolutely nothing wrong. He is the problem in this situation. If you went to that funeral and you and your ex banged it out in the closet while his dad's in the casket, that's fucking wrong.
Right.
If you guys are having late night conversations about how you wish he was here to console you, that's a problem. He gave you a hug and even you were like, okay, well, this is weird, but all right, because of the death. That in and of itself tells me that you are already like, I'm not okay with this.
Right, but she hugged the wife.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. Dude is going through it.
Right.
I don't even know the motherfucker and I'd have hugged him. Is that weird? Is it wrong? He's grieving.
Yeah.
I just don't fucking get people, man.
Your husband is 100% manipulating you right now.
Yeah.
And he is in the wrong for this.
And he's letting you feel like you're fucking in the wrong. I guarantee you that everyone in the comments right now, if you're watching this on YouTube, in the comments, leave your opinion on this scenario. Is the husband in the wrong or not? If so, if he's not in the wrong and you back his decision in this whole scenario, I want to know why. Was that the whole email?
That's it.
In that scenario, third one. Good job. In the scenario where...
Thank you.
It's funny that you always sneeze in threes.
I can't. I don't know why.
If you guys had a marriage, right, where he told you that in the beginning, like, I'm a super jealous person, right? And if we're going to be together and you're going to co-parent, just don't touch him. Like, I understand that you have to be cordial. I can accept that. I just make sure that you don't ever touch him. You know what I mean? Like, and that was a discussion and he set his boundary and you agreed to it. Oh, I remember what I was saying. In the event that they had that discussion and he was an overly jealous person and that was discussed and she agreed to that boundary. Because when you have the discussion of boundaries, you can say, I'm either okay with this or I'm not. Right? Because it's not controlling. It's letting you know my expectations and you have the ability to adhere or not. Those are conversations that should be had. She's now married to this dude for 7 fucking years. You know if he's a jealous person or not. I admire her for being honest and being like, yeah, I hugged him.
Yeah.
But he was grieving. Like, grow up. How old is this guy? Did it say how old he was?
No.
That's the only way that I could have agreed with what was going on is that he was super jealous and she knew it.
Right.
And he's asked her not to touch the ex and she hugged him. I could see how there would be an issue there because she agreed not to do it kind of thing. That's all made up scenarios.
Yeah.
But even then, I think that in a scenario where somebody has passed and they're grieving, they both are, and you opted not to go to the funeral, you fucking did that to yourself because she wouldn't have hugged him if you were there. She would have hugged you.
Yeah.
They'd have been like, see ya, and they'd have left. I'm done.
All right. Next email is I want better. So thankful to have some of your videos come across on my FYP on TikTok, and I've since become a follower of both your pages and subscribed to your YouTube channel.
Love that. Thank you for the YouTube subscription.
It is dope.
Real shit. For what it's worth, you do get more on Patreon, especially if you did the live stream subscription on YouTube. So you might want to look into that. If that's what you're paying, the $15 a month is the same thing on Patreon. You get a lot more community with the Patreon than you do with YouTube and exclusive content that YouTube does not get. So just plugging that real quick for everyone since it's relevant to the moment.
I've only watched and listened to a few so far and suspect that you may have already hit some topics of concern for me.
We're going to hit them again because you subscribe.
All right. And I just haven't come across them. I love your insight and appreciate so much to get both sides of a discussion. Love what you're doing for traditional marriage and hope you will share some insight for my situation. I am just a few months into my second marriage and I am already discouraged.
Uh-oh.
Red flag number 1.
Yeah.
I love my husband, and I can sometimes see a long, wonderful future with him, but then I can also see me giving up and walking away. Did you feel this way before you got married?
People don't have integrity
Yeah.
anymore. I don't know if they brought faith or religion into their vows or what their vows even were, but the idea of marriage is supposed to be that you fucking fight for each other. And I can understand that marriages are not always going to work. But it's so fucking easy to make a vow and walk away from somebody because you guys just don't have any like oomph behind your word. It doesn't mean anything anymore. We are so like caught up in loyalty and respect and honor and all these fucking buzzwords that mean absolutely nothing to anyone.
Right.
If you had those things and like you really had integrity, you would really fucking try. You would exhaust all options before you broke your word on something. Mm-hmm. And I'm not perfect. I've been divorced, but it was a long fucking time coming. Like I didn't just wake up one morning and be like, I'm not fucking happy anymore. Deuces and leave. Like you know what I mean? Like I just don't get it. I really don't fucking get it. I'm not shitting on her.
Right.
We see that a lot where people are like, I just got married and things aren't going the way I expected them to go. Well, there was indications of that before you got married.
Mm-hmm. And you still chose to say I do. My first marriage ended after 25 years.
Holy shit.
We married at 18 and 19 and immediately started a family. We have 4 children together. I craved and at times begged my first husband to be our family's leader. He just wasn't interested.
Not every man is meant to lead. Mm-hmm. 25 years. Okay, so I take back everything I said.
Yeah.
That's a long fucking time to be with somebody. And if you've been with somebody for 25 years, you've had your fights.
Right.
Like that, you're not the type of person to just walk away from something because you're tired. And I'm willing to bet that she's probably a little jaded from putting in that fucking time to be going through shit this early on in their marriage that she's now skewed. Mm. You know that if you've had a divorce, your rate for divorce moving forward gets shorter and shorter every time. So like if you had a 10-year marriage, you're likely to be divorced in half that time, then half that time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because of the way that you know that you can survive after the divorce. It's just easier to walk away.
Yeah. Wanted to be the leader. He just wasn't interested. I finally ended that marriage after finding out about severe infidelity and finally had enough years of emotional, psychological, and financial abuse. I went through group therapy and individual therapy. I started taking care of myself. I lost weight, got healthy, and was feeling so confident. I learned so much about myself through that process, especially what I wanted in a partner and what kind of wife I wanted to be if I ever found love again.
I'm gonna pause you. You know the amount of people that get out of relationships and do all that, that hard work, go to the gym, diet, exercise, go to therapy, read books, self-help.
Right.
Why not do that while you're married?
I'm doing that while married, and it's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, our relationship's healthy as a motherfucker.
Yeah.
And we do. Right now, the men's group is doing 2-a-days. We're basically doing a modified version of that Andy Frisella 75 hard in the men's group.
Yeah.
I've got every man in that group is dieting and exercising twice a day right now, on top of the recommended reading books and the shit that we're going through. When you look inward and realize that you have a lot of room to fucking work on yourself and grow, and you've got somebody there to hold you accountable and do that, you're going to be better. And we do that for each other. I just don't understand why people wait until it's over to do the dirty work when you can do it while you're together and possibly fix things. Not in that scenario.
Right.
But that's very common when somebody gets out of a marriage, they get super fucking healthy, but they weren't super fucking healthy in the marriage. And it's part of the reason why the marriage failed.
Right. I learned so much about myself through that process, especially when I wanted in a partner. Oh, I already read that. I did start dating, and probably too soon. But all of my kids were grown and leaving, and I was craving some companionship and a true partner in life. I met my current husband and saw that he was very different than what I was used to. He is a faithful man, very family-oriented. He's goofy and kind of nerdy. He's attentive to me and careful with my heart. We have fun together on even the most mundane of days. We have a lot in common, but still enough differences to make it interesting. He cares about my thoughts, wants to know about my day, and values my opinions. He loves to cook and loves to take care of people. He is always respectful, and I never fear that he would cheat on me. He was married before for 18 years and has 4 children of his own, 2 still school age. We both talk frequently about how much our first marriages were hurtful and what we wanted in marriage and future potential partners. We lived about an hour from each other, so mostly we saw each other on the weekends, but we made it work. Okay, so everything's great so far.
Right. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
All of that's amazing.
I'm loving this.
Ba-bum-bum-ba.
Where is it going to fall? What's going to trip us up? About 8 months or so after we started dating, he lost his job. Okay. That could be an issue, but I'm hoping it's not. He was well established there, so it was a big blow. He had saved pretty well, so he wasn't too concerned that he wouldn't be able to take care of his household while he found work. He always had part-time job and still does. He has applied for numerous jobs, but has only gotten an interview for a handful and absolutely no offers. In the beginning, he was very picky. He would not go for any jobs that weren't at the same level he left. He would say things like, "I'm not starting over at my age." He has since even applied for entry-level positions and gets the whole, "You're overqualified, we can't afford you." It's been 2 years and there is no more savings.
You know what he should have done? He should have taken any job he could get in the beginning full time.
Yep.
And then started looking for something that fit his needs so that he wasn't starting over again.
That's the smart thing to do.
The really smart thing to do would have been get a job in the field that he's in at whatever they were going to pay and then open his own fucking business.
Yep.
Because then that shit wouldn't happen again. If he had that long at a job, I wonder why they let him go.
Yeah.
Because if you've got a good employee that's been there for 10 or 15 years, you're not firing them.
Mm-hmm. The only I can think of is if he wasn't slacking like budget cuts.
It could be COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be a lot of things, but I think about that. Like I have employees that have been with me for almost a decade. Mm-hmm. Unless they really fucked up, I'm not letting them go. You know what I mean? Like they're valuable to me. They're assets to the company. They know how it runs inside and out. Like I value them as people, not just employees. They got their shit together to be in a job for 10 fucking years. You know what I mean?
His ego has taken a major hit, and this has caused a lot of depression and angst for him. I don't nag him. I try to be supportive and continue to encourage or just try to get entry-level jobs. Oh. I try to be supportive and continue to encourage him throughout, but I've started to suggest that in order for bills to be paid, he may have to work more hours at his part-time job or just try to get an entry-level job in a different field or even try a different city.
Or get a second part-time job. Mm-hmm. I don't understand why this is... I don't... Okay.
Yeah. Maybe our city is saturated. In the middle of all of that, I still married him.
It's because this is just one small thing. This is really a small thing. Dude had a huge savings that he was able to live off of for 2 years. Mm-hmm. He made good financial decisions. He lost his job. It's not like he quit and was like, "I'm going to go live with her and she's going to fucking take care of me because fuck the world." Like, that's not what this was. The fact that he couldn't get another job for whatever the excuse is a problem for me. I get that. But to overlook all of that other good shit over something as simple as this, like, you guys need to talk about this. You need to tell him, like, this is starting to change the way that you view him.
Right.
But why throw away all that other happiness? Why wouldn't you open a business? If you've got that long in a job, you know the job.
Mm-hmm. I moved away from my friends and family, got a new job, and married him. Did you transfer jobs or did you apply and get a job?
I'm sure she applied and got a job. It's not as hard as people make it sound to get a job. The problem is people don't want to take the jobs that are available. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to sit in a fucking office and have the cushy, easiest, less stress, less backbreaking job on the planet. And they want to get paid stupid amount of money for it. Yeah, I want to remove staples from packets of paper, and I want a minimum of $32 an hour, and I can only work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Mm-hmm. Oh, and I got to leave by 2 o'clock, and if you can't meet those needs, I'm not working here. That's, yeah, deuces.
Okay. Next.
Yeah.
Let's see. I married him because I love him. I don't need him. I want him.
Love that. Preach it.
Yes. And I have hope that our marriage can be everything we said we wanted it to be. I so badly want him to lead. Lead me and I will follow. But now I'm struggling.
It's because he's giving you doubt.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't follow through on anything anymore. He procrastinates about everything. He falls asleep all the time or just sits on his phone. Little projects he's had at this time. Oh, little projects he's had all of this time. What? Little projects he's had all this time to get done still sit. Our sex life has suffered. We've both gained weight. I'm getting so frustrated and overwhelmed. I work full-time overnights and pick up extra shifts when I can. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. I miss my grown kids, my friends, and now I'm in full-blown menopause. This is not a recipe for a great marriage. This is not what we wanted for us. I'm still trying to encourage without nagging and be supportive, but I worry I will start resenting him, and I don't want that. I'm scared. I will not allow myself to be taken advantage of again.
Pause. So
Okay.
she's now menopausal.
Hormones are all over the place.
His are too at his age. So my first suggestion is going that you guys go, there's a link in the description for Titan Medical. Fill out the new patient release form, both of you, and get your hormones checked. There are things that they can do to help ease menopause. And for him, I'm willing to bet his testosterone is in the dumps or his estrogen's through the roof because he's showing depressive behavior. And I don't think that's just an ego thing. I think he's probably really fucking depressed because he's had a normal job and now his life is upside down.
Right.
But I would have you should do your blood work anyways. I don't know why I have to preach that to people. Like if you can get a blood panel done and know exactly what's going on, if your liver's fucked up or if you have kidney issues, like you don't have to do it all the time. You do it once a year. You know what I mean? It's not super expensive, but to have that information at nothing else is a peace of mind.
Right.
So I would do that. And if you go, and I am plugging them, they gave us a coupon code because I send everyone to Titan. It's To Be Better Titan. When you fill out your new patient paperwork and they call you for your interview because they do everything telehealth, just tell them the code and they will save you $50 to $75 on your initial fucking setup with them. Get your hormones checked. Once your hormones are checked, if the hormones are off, that's where you start fixing everything. That'll also help with your weight gain. Like you put your hand up like you were... What was this?
Well, you were going to keep going, but I wanted to stop you because she said specifically, I want to know from a man's point of view, what can I do? And what can I say to him? What can a wife do for her husband in this situation that could possibly kick his ass into gear and to be the leader I and our family need him to be?
Get the hormones checked. It's the first place I would start. I still stand by that.
Right.
Because again, everybody needs to get the blood work done. Beyond that, I would tell him, like, you had your shit together when I met you. You were everything that I wanted in a man. You looked like the type of man and you presented yourself as the type of man that could truly lead. And that's what I want. I want a man who can lead me. You are now depressed. You're not doing your small projects. You don't have hobbies. You sit on your phone all day. You sleep too much. You are not doing the things that you were doing when I met you. And I feel like I was misled. That's the conversation that needs to happen. Maybe you need to tell him those things to light a fire under his ass. I can't speak for other men. I can speak for me. If you ever came to me and said, you're failing as my husband, it would fucking devastate me. It would. It would probably take me a week to get over hearing that, but by the time I got my head out of my ass, it would be fucking go time.
Yeah.
Wouldn't matter what it was. I would fucking go start an LLC and buy a whole bunch of lawn equipment and start fucking cutting lawns from sun up to sundown if that's what I had to do. And I would do it all myself. We'd eat below the whole fucking nine. And I would keep all the money that I made and not pay another person. It would just suck to do it all. But I would. And it wouldn't matter if I was 50 or 60 years old. If that's what I fucking needed to save my marriage, that's what I would do. But I also wouldn't let myself get to that point. If I lost my job and I had no income coming in and I applied for a job and somebody was like, yeah, we'll hire you, but you're getting $20 an hour instead of $30. That's $20 an hour that you're not fucking making right now. You take the job and then you start sending your resume out to other jobs and you try to find the job that fits your requirements.
Yep.
That's common sense. That's like quitting your job and then trying to find another job. You don't do that. You find the other job before you quit. How is this not like just normal function for people?
I don't know.
She really needs to talk to you need to tell him. And I don't know if he's the kind of man that I am, but if I hear that, like if I heard anything like that, it would devastate me. And I would hope to God that if it ever started getting to that point, you would talk to me like bluntly before telling me that I failed you as your husband.
Yeah.
But I would like, if I was 2 months without a job and money wasn't coming in and you were like, babe, I'm really starting to get stressed about money. What are we going to do? Like, you're not working. Whatever, and you like really laid it out on the line, it would let me know like I really need to get my shit together. I don't know if he's only working part-time and he's bringing some money in, cool, but like she said she can do all this on her own. Yeah. She makes enough money to provide all of this on her own, which means other things that's going on in his life is making her bitter towards him. I'm willing to bet, because now that's registering that she said that. I'm willing to bet that if he was not depressed, was not sleeping all day, was taking care of his hobbies, keeping the house clean on a part-time job, and the intimacy was still good in their relationship, she wouldn't have a problem being the breadwinner.
I agree.
He could start taking care of the bills, managing the finances.
If he started like maintaining the house while she was at work, or maybe had dinner cooked by the time, well, she works nights.
Yeah, breakfast.
Had breakfast cooked, yeah.
Yep.
On her days off, surprised her with a date.
Yeah, I think I obviously there's the issue is him not working, but I think there's other underlying issues there that aren't being disclosed.
I wonder if she has any self-care time. Because if he's only working part-time and he has all this free time to himself, and she's working full-time and picking up whatever shifts she can to supplement, and then days off she's having to maintain the house and go grocery shopping and cook.
Well, there'd be a whole lot of animosity there for sure. You're home for 30 hours a week more than I am. Mm-hmm. Why aren't you doing these things? Because you're lazy. Like, that's why. Really was what it comes down to. He just doesn't want to fucking do it. Mm-hmm. This also ties into what I said earlier about the divorce rate. If this was her first marriage, she would be more likely to tolerate that shit for a long duration than realize, look, I can fucking do this on my own. I don't need you.
Yep.
I want you, but I need you to step the fuck up because I'm not willing to do this. Mm-hmm. They're setting boundaries. That is legit setting boundaries. That's what we talk about all the time.
Yep.
I don't see her in the wrong in this aspect. No. She needs to fucking call him on his shit and make him step the fuck up.
Yeah.
And they both need to get their hormones checked.
I agree.
Let's do one more. That's 2 hours.
Has it been 2 hours?
Yep.
Well, there's some things that I want to get done before I have to pick up the kids.
Okay.
I don't want to do another email.
That means I get to finish setting the podcast room with the new mics that came in.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I like how the H sound.
It's like hot breath.
Ooh.
Microphone be like, brush your teeth. Episode 22.
22.
That's the phone call that I'm going to take. So with that being said, we'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye, guys.